Awesome. We are live. Hello, my friends. Happy Friday Eve day to everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm going to check on my iPad to make sure we are actually streaming in the group like we should be. Yes, we are. I can see us. Awesome. Okay. I'm so excited for today, you guys. As usual, we've got using StreamYard, we've got Facebook and YouTube here on my laptop. If you are coming through to us through Facebook, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to show your Facebook name so that when Joe and I come to answer your questions, we can see your actual name and it doesn't say Facebook user, because that's just such a downer when I can't see who it is. You guys are in for a treat with a capital T. My friend Joe Ingram is here to help us nail down branding and messaging that's best for our businesses. You know that I'm all about building a business that is authentic to you and nobody else but you. And that is what she's going to help us do today. But first, I want to introduce myself in case you're new to me and I'm new to you. I am Tracy Beavers, and I am your business and sales coach. And I help entrepreneurs get consistent monthly income and new clients without paid ads. You can gain the income you want and grow your business with ease. Business building does not have to be a struggle. When you coach with me, I give you a clear roadmap of action steps so you can put your blinders on and go to work. It's easy to follow, and you'll know exactly what you're supposed to be working on every day so you can get to your goal. And if having a roadmap sounds great to you, you're tired of spinning on the hamster wheel trying to do all the things, feeling overwhelmed, reach out and set a free information call and let's talk about what's going on. And do that immediately, because my prices for one-to-one elite coaching are going up starting in January. And I love to shout you out. Today's shout out is to my students in Business Visibility Made Easy, my 8-week group coaching program that will reopen mid-January 2023. They are the most fun, energetic group. Oh my gosh. In our live weekly calls, we've worked through their questions about Facebook, questions about deciding who their ideal clients are. They've asked for feedback on their lead magnets. It is so much fun to support them and watch them support each other and watch their progress. They're all at different stages of business. So everybody is coming from their own authentic place, and we're all helping each other. And if you want to join the next round of Business Visibility Made Easy, be in a supportive, collaborative group for 8 weeks that can help you get to your goals regarding getting more visibility for your business on social media. We reopen January 2023. Get on the wait list, tracybeavers.com/BVME for Business Visibility Made Easy. Waitlisters get special offers that nobody else is going to get. So tell us if you're live here with us today, or if you're catching the replay, if you've got questions or comments while we're here live. Throw them into the comments. Joe and I are going to check those at the end of the training, because we want to pay super close attention to everything she's going to share with us. It's going to be so great. And if you're on replay and you have a question for Joe or for me, throw it in the comments. I will see it. And if I can't answer it or I don't know the answer, I'll get Joe hooked in and we'll get your questions answered whenever you need us to. So let's dive in. I'm so excited to introduce my friend Joe Ingram. You are going to connect with her and love her just as much as I do. And I really wish we didn't live an ocean away from each other, because I'd love to sit down and have a cuppa, as she says, a cup of coffee. Anyway, Joanna Ingram is
Tea.
Tea. We have tea. Well, I'll have coffee. You can have a proper tea. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay. See, I'm learning. I'm hanging out with all these British people and I'm learning all the things. So let me introduce Joe. Joanna Ingram is a former advertising agency director turned brand messaging activator and business coach from London. She is the host of the leading podcast. I was fortunate enough to be a guest on her podcast. It's called Goals with Soul, and it is so impactful. She's also the mom to 3 spirited girls. I love that. I was a spirited girl. I think I still am. She helps visionary coaches like you, like me, find their true voice. You know, I'm all about that. Embrace their unique brilliance, because no one is made like you, and clarify your authentic message so you can attract those soul clients, the ones that are supposed to work with you. You can charge the correct pricing, you can raise your prices, and you can stand out from this very crowded online space. She is a trusted leader in activating unique messaging and blends proven brand strategy with the energetics she learned as a breathwork facilitator and pranic healer. I had to look that up. I thought maybe we were supposed to say panic. And I was like, no, it's pranic. As the creator of the Messaging Edge method, she elevates messaging so you can attract those ideal clients, those ones that your soul wants to work with. And this industry defining program has been called business therapy. Love that. Heart articulation. love that, by the clients who have overcome their fear of judgment and perfectionism. Those things are so heavy, right? And express their truth, increase their visibility, and accelerate their impact and their income growth. And her mission is to champion bold women to break the mold with their individuality and express their uniqueness in business. I am so excited you're here, Jo. Is there anything you want to add that I left off before we dive into the so many questions I have for you today?
You completely nailed it, Tracy. Thank you for the lovely intro.
You're right. You're so welcome. I don't know about you, but when someone introduces me, I'm always like looking around going, are they talking about me? What? I don't know if it ever feels like that to you, but I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
No, I'm like, no, that sounds great. That sounds great. I love hearing it spoken by somebody else as well. I'm like, from an energetic point of view, I'm integrating it. So thank you.
I love it. You're so welcome. All right. So I want to dive in because this is something that I've wanted to have you on in the group to share with us, because this is something I've been wanting to learn. Let's talk about messaging so you can tell us what we need to know to maximize it for our business growth and do it in a way that feels good to our soul, energetically and authentically. So the first question I have for you is, how do we even know if we have a messaging problem?
Okay, that's a great starting point. And just before actually I answer the question directly, I just want to share something that's coming through so frequently, and that's about the economy, right? We're all in a position now where I don't think I've been in a group of experienced or new coaches recently that the conversation hasn't come up about, are you getting the same conversions?
Yeah.
Are you getting the same volume of leads? Are you able to charge the same prices? And people are getting understandably nervous about what the economic downturn is going to mean for their businesses. Our consumers, everywhere, you know, and we all work on a global level now. Majority of experts, consultants, coaches, entrepreneurs are working across borders. So everything that's happening globally is affecting all of us. And when we move into this concern about what it's going to look like, with my nearly 20 years working in leading advertising agencies, this is something I worked through the 2008 recession, and I saw firsthand what the impact was on businesses and specifically marketing and advertising. And it's been a point now where it's been a privilege to be able to go back to I looked at the Harvard Business Review, I looked at Ad Age, and all of them are saying something that is very important to this conversation, which is those businesses that are going to not only survive, but thrive through economic downturns and recessions are those that have really strong messaging and offer great value. I mean, this is music to my ears right now because, of course, this is the area of marketing in which I specialize. And I've known for a long time that messaging is the one thing that you have to get in place before you dance on TikTok. We were laughing about this earlier. Before there's nothing wrong, by the way, dancing on TikTok. I was saying that's something that I aspire to. But it's no point in doing all these marketing strategies if you haven't got the foundations right. And the foundations are foundation is messaging and value.
Right.
And so, Tracy, to your point, how do you know that it's not thoroughly in place?
Right.
That's a really good question, because oftentimes we don't recognize the symptoms as a messaging problem. And those are oftentimes things like not making sales, sales plateaus for experienced coaches, might have been at one level for 3 months, 6 months, and yet they're changing their strategies and they're trying to elevate themselves into their 20K, 50K months, but it's not happening. For new starters, it's, how can I get to my first 5K and consistent 5K months and so on. And there seems to be a disconnect. Another really good symptom to watch out for is that you're working with what I call de-energizing clients. So, we put ourselves out there and fortunately we're getting business, but there's not a coach out there that won't understand what it feels like to come off a call and be like, oh, that took a lot of energy. I feel completely depleted. I need a bit of Netflix and chill or a bit of a lie down. And it sounds funny, but when that happens too frequently, the feeling when you look in your calendar and you go,
oh, I do.
It's a hard day coming. It's not really where I want to be. And you start asking the questions, how do I work with what I like to call soul aligned clients?
Yeah.
How can I work with those clients that when I come off that call, I am buzzing? You know, we've all been there too, right? The energy is palpable. And in fact, you go off and do something amazing for your business straight after. You're like, you know what, I'm going to write that thing. I'm going to dance on that reel. I just feel buzzing because this is where I'm supposed to be. This is the person I'm supposed to help. You know, it's like source energy is flowing through me and all of
like you could do it all day. It may have been an hour session, but it felt like it was 5 minutes and you could have gone for another hour. And that's the way I felt this morning with the Business Visibility Made Easy students. I got off that hour and I was like, this is the best. You know, I was like, yay. So, but I've also had the other experience where I'm like, that hour felt like it lasted 2 hours.
Yeah. And the question is, why are you calling them in? What, like, where are they coming from? This is why it's a messaging specific issue, because the way we acquire clients through the most part is through our messaging, through existing in marketing, through speaking at a conference or showing up on Instagram. And, you know, I know you teach so many of these strategies for people to become more visible. And that's an essential part of our marketing. But what's behind that? When they land on your Instagram bio, when they listen to what you have to say, and they kind of, I mean, we all do this, right? When there's someone that piques our interest, we start looking at all their places. But they have to pique our interest in the first place. You know, when they show up and they say something, we have to say, ooh, that's really resonating on a really deep level with me. This isn't like bouncing off. It's resonating, and that's messaging. And then we look at their website, or we listen to their podcast, or we check them out on Instagram. Again, messaging, layers and layers of it. And if your messaging isn't right for you and resonating deeply with those clients that you're meant to work with, you're going to find that these sorts of symptoms around lack of client sales, de-energizing clients, becomes something that isn't just a short blip, but is something you're starting to wonder, how am I going to solve this? Or I'm going to head into burnout because everything's quite stressful and it's hard work. Or even to the extent I've worked with experienced coaches who were at the point of, we call it, wanting to burn it to the ground. Just like, why am I doing this? This was my dream, right? So many of us come out of corporate, frequently come out of corporate, and we're like, all the things we don't want. And many times we're moving into mindset and energetic growth, and we're moving into spiritual spaces where we're like, I've got a vision and a vortex, and I've got all this stuff. And when it doesn't start happening, and it feels like efforting and overproving, and the energy feels a lot like the job we didn't want, that's when those questions about burning to the ground, we have to come back into ourselves and ask ourselves the big question. And this isn't messaging. We're not talking about a piece of nifty copywriting. Copywriting is fabulous. Love good copywriting. But deep messaging comes from your heart and from your soul. And getting that articulated and expressed is your first job before you start wondering, how do I write better? And should I employ a copy coach? And who's going to write the copy for my website? And all good things. But really, messaging comes from us. And too many people forget that.
Can you give us an example? Because I know from your own story that you did experience burnout. Like, you hit the point where you were like, burn it to the ground. I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. And so how did you figure out, like, because I think some of my audience may be kind of along with me right now, trying to figure out the difference between messaging and copywriting, because that was a great point you made. Those two things are different. How do we know? What did you do? Do you have some examples of like a before and after? Like, here's messaging before and here's more soulful messaging, more authentic.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, copywriting, I believe, is a part of messaging. And sometimes we think they're synonymous when they're actually not. What the messaging is an overarching area of marketing. Copywriting is a subset of that. And I'll define it more.
So the branding is more like the messaging. Like the brand.
Branding and messaging are very, very similar, but I would define it as branding would also include design work, like
Okay, got it.
what colors and so on. And this is why it's very confusing when you work with a brand or messaging specialist, because, and I'm saying this from an insider in the industry, everybody defines their part of that.
Yes.
And it's important that you work, if you choose to, with a branding or messaging specialist that covers the specific areas that are important to you. And I tend to work with very soulful entrepreneurs who really want the part of messaging that means they're bringing what brings them the most joy and therefore sustainability to their business. And this is the part that happened to me. I left, as you said earlier, I left a long career in media and advertising, and immediately pivoted at the start of the pandemic. I actually lost my job because all the budgets went out of big funded advertising. I was at a very senior level. I was a more expensive part of the pay grade, and sadly I lost my job. However, I did not feel too sad. I felt elated. I was like, the universe has my back. This is awesome. I've been talking about this.
You were skipping out the door. See you later.
Well, we were all at home for COVID, right? So I was just turning the camera off and taking a nice deep breath, right? Whew, that was a hard couple of months.
Right.
Pivoted into coaching, which had been on my heart for a very long time, and just did what came naturally and easily at the time, which was CEO strategy, productivity, accountability, helping coaches and entrepreneurs who did not have those skills to really embed the to-do list and getting it done in their businesses. But I decided, and because I'm type A and I've grown up, oldest child, academic achiever, and all these things, I was like, well, I'm going to put a load of pressure on myself to get the numbers and do all the stuff. Boom, boom, boom. So I launched 3 programs, launched my podcast, had a membership, boom, 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 boom. And 6 months later, it's hardly surprising, I was on the kitchen floor, the dark night of the soul, just like slumped to the floor after cooking an evening meal, and said to my husband, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm the worst boss, worse than those women that I were my bosses. I'm like, this isn't working. I'm just exhausted. And at that point, I was already qualified as a pranic healer, which I love that you looked that up. But essentially, if you understand Reiki, you'll understand a little about pranic healing. It's about working with energy. And I realized there was a whole part of myself that I hadn't brought into my business. And more than that, I was going with this very sort of masculine drive.
Yes.
Which I value greatly, but I was completely ignoring the feminine flow. And I then moved into 2-3 months where I was absorbing a lot about the spirituality of business, about energy, about the balance between the divine masculine and feminine, and asking myself better questions. How can I build a business that's joyful, sustainable? And what does that really look like?
Yes.
And as I was going through this process, I realized that my own messaging was no longer relevant to my heart. I'd been through an up level, through an evolution. And what I was selling, what I was marketing, what I was delivering wasn't aligned. It was a big part of me, but it wasn't the holistic piece of what I really had to offer. And it became very apparent that one of the reasons that I became so exhausted was that I was serving clients, as beautiful as they are as humans, weren't meant to work with me. And much like we were talking about earlier, I was pulling them through. I was lacking boundaries because I so wanted them to succeed. But we weren't an energetic match, right? They were probably more of a match to my burnout. They were like, I can't. And I was saying, you can. And if you can't, I'll do it for you. Let me give you the answers. And, you know, we've all been a little mother, not we all, but many of us have been mother hen in that client relationships, particularly type A women, midlife women, mothers coming out of long corporate careers who had large teams. We want them to succeed.
That's exactly it. We just want them to succeed so badly that we lose the boundaries. It's kind of like parenting. You want your kids to succeed so badly. You're like, I'll make the book report for you. And then you're like, wait, no, that's not good parenting, you know?
Yeah. It didn't achieve the overall objective. And what I realized though, when I wrote myself a manifesto about really what this meant for my change, and I realized that there are clients out there And I teach this in my brand epics process, which is the process I use with my clients to bring them through to what they're really supposed to teach in its full glory. And as I went through this process for myself, I realized that character, which is the C, because epics is an anagram and a C in epics is character.
Okay.
And I realized that actually we all have a character personality match client, that when we work with them, it's zinging. It's like magic. And this doesn't mean that there are uncoachable clients, not at all. It just means there are clients that you are meant to work with because the match is there. And I started looking at my own personality. I went into my human design and into, all the other tests that we can do. And I started to understand myself better and realized that high vibration, driven, high achieving women are the women I choose to hang out with in real life. They're my friends. They're the mums that I tend to gravitate towards in the school playground. They're the women that I link up with in this space and collaborate with, Tracy.
Yeah.
And they are my favorite clients. And when I dialed this in to my messaging and started talking to them, literally like I would talk to myself.
Okay.
I started calling them in. And you asked for like the change. And suddenly the discovery calls, the conversations, the conversions were women that I came off those calls going, whoa, gosh, I love this woman. I'm like, if she wasn't a client, I'd be having a coffee or a glass of red wine and she would be my friend anyway, because the power is there that is going to make me feel amazing and get her the results. And these are women that don't need hand-holding. They're women that have the struggle, or they're clients that have the struggle. I am encouraging you to go and find people that have the problems that you need to solve.
Yes.
But their mindset is they're ready for change, solution, transformation. And when you work with them, they get that so fast because they take the action, they follow the process, they get the results.
Got it.
So that's a very important part of the equation when it comes to messaging. So I pivoted into being a brand messaging specialist, activation specialist, rather than a general business coach as I was being initially, with some success. But I realized that my brand of business coaching didn't call to my heart the way that the messaging did, because I'd experienced it myself. Worked with a few clients, saw them making similar changes and saw their joy in having a business and a clientele that was lighting them up. So from that point, I've just continued to specialize in that area.
Nice. I'm sure there are occasions now, not as often as used to be, because you are attracting your soul clients, the ones you really want to work with. But every now and then, do you get an info call or a client that wants to hire you and you're like, this is not going to be a good match and you have to deliver how do you do that? How do you say, I don't think
I love this question. Well, first of all, to say that I put some checks and balances into my funnel, into my business to make that less common. So sometimes, and I like to work with spontaneity and energy a little in my business, which means sometimes I change things on a whim because I just feel like it. So sometimes I'll just invite people to put a call in with me because I just feel like I just want more conversations. But sometimes when I'm having a lot of conversations and I want to protect my energy and my time, because we're in this for a certain amount of time freedom, I instead invite people to fill in an application form. And I ask specific questions in the application that allows me to get a really good feel for where this person is. And I get a choice to then invite them onto a discovery call or a conversation or a free messaging upgrade call.
Right.
Or I provide them value in another way. So like I have my integrity is if somebody wants to reach out and they want my help, I never just say no. I just find that I don't like it. So if I can't provide them value in my time, I will email them some tips. I will give them a short Loom video and just basically say, hey, I can see some things that you can change immediately. Please do. I'd love to give you some feedback on that. And if there's someone that I think that I can help in a deeper way and we'd be a really good fit, I'll invite them on to speak with me. So that's just a little sort of systems piece. But ultimately, I think that when you have that conversation and you don't think they're a good fit, it's in your best interest to say there are certain things that you need to put into place which will make us a great fit for you to get the best results from the program and the work that I do. And here's my suggestions. Go away, get, I hope that's been of help. Get these things in place. And occasionally those might be attitudinal mindset pieces.
Got it. Yes.
You're not ready. If they're not ready to get the most out of your program, and they're not going to take the action, in our integrity, it's not just about not wanting to work with them. In our integrity, it's the right thing to say, you've got some steps, and then we'll be a great fit, and then you will get the results.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not really to the benefit of coach or client.
Right. I like that. So tell us what are some of the benefits to getting the right branding messaging and improving it and making it in alignment and authentic to us? I think I know the answer, but I want you to give us the list of benefits.
Yeah, I was going to say there's quite a few, right? So I'm going to start with benefits to you, and then I'm going to go on to benefits for client, because there are lots. So the benefit to you as a coach is we've covered in some detail about the energy piece. So when you're going messaging right, you call in a far greater number of clients, full stop. But you also call in those clients who are energetically more aligned with you. So you've got a much better vibing business. I mean, think about those clients that give you referrals, give you glowing testimonials, and rebook with you, get the results, do the work, all of those things. Right. They're the clients you want to work with. So when you have the right messaging, those are the sorts of clients that you will have much more opportunity to work with. But also to the coach that's currently not making sales, or the coach that's on a plateau, when you start elevating your messaging and it's truly coming from your heart, it's what you're meant to do, you're articulating it and expressing it in a new way, those clients will start to book with you more frequently. And at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says. The biggest thing that everyone says is, I want more clients, or I want better quality of clients. I want higher paying clients. I want clients to stay longer. That piece from a marketing perspective, get your messaging on point. And by the way, messaging is always evolving. So when I say on point, I'm not going to say get your messaging done.
Right.
Because we are changing, and we are our message. We are our brand. So allow it to keep flowing through. It's never fully done, and you're allowed to keep changing and up leveling, but get to a point that allows those clients that are meant to work with you to truly resonate deeply with what you're writing and what you're saying. So they can
see themselves in what you're writing, is what you're saying. When they see it, they go, oh, Joanna is for me, or oh, Tracy is for me. They can see them.
They're just going to know from what you're saying, what you're writing, from your energy, from the words you use and the way that you express it, that you're somebody they're very interested in learning more from, that you have a solution to a problem that they have. And it's time to follow those breadcrumbs and see what more, and hopefully put a call in and continue into converting as a client.
Got it.
But I would also say benefits to you is the idea that when you're really teaching what you're meant to teach, that comes deep from your soul, you feel a high level of alignment with it.
Yes.
And one of the biggest challenges, and I know you see this too, Tracy, because you talk about visibility a lot, is that being visible is a challenge in itself. It's like we all want to do the coaching, but then suddenly we're business owners, we're marketeers, we're TikTok dancers, right? It's like, how do we put ourselves out there? Now, you can have every strategy under the sun in a course with a coach, but if you're not truly expressed in what your messaging is, you're going to keep coming up against fear of judgment, imposter syndrome, perfectionism. Any stalling tactic is going to come for you because you don't know what you want to say. You're like, well, I know what I teach, but I don't really have a mission, and I don't really feel the confidence to have a powerful message. What's my messaging? I mean, I don't really understand what's my brand. I'm blue. My brand is blue. It's like, no. It's when you deeply, deeply have a message, it's total clarity on a powerful mission, the thing you're here to create. And if you're listening to this, chances are you've got one, but it doesn't mean that you have clarity on it, or you can articulate it, or you're ready to express it.
Right.
And this is the type of messaging that I dive deeply into, because your message and mission are those things that power you into visibility, and then learn the strategies, then learn how to maximize your Instagram, or to learn LinkedIn, or to write great emails. And there are so many amazing ways that we're blessed these days for free in many cases to be able to get out there and share our message. But what message are you sharing, and how deeply aligned are you with so much power in that if someone invites you on, if Tracy calls you up tomorrow and says, come on, I want you to express yourself, you're just going to be able to go, because it's bubbling up, you know what you want to talk about, and you're just expressing it with such joy and ease. And that is a missing part. That is when you just jump to the copywriter. And I had a client speak to me recently. She'd hired a copywriter, and the copywriter had done a good job. I looked at her website, the words looked good, but they weren't her words. And one of the first things she said to me is, I wish I'd waited, because even though I've got words, they're not really from my heart. And now I'm ready to do the messaging work and articulate what is really in me. And then I'll go back to the copywriter if she needs to, because oftentimes actually when the words are flowing, we can often write more things than we think we were able to write. And if we still want a copywriter, the brief is just banging. It's like, this is my message. Can we write copy around this? Yeah.
So how do we elevate our brand messaging given all the things that we're juggling as business owners? Some of us are moms with kids. Some of us are still working a full-time job. I've got some ladies in my Business Visibility Made Easy program. They're still working full-time, and they're building their business on the side. And we were talking about this just this morning, that there's just such a finite amount of time. So I know that you have worked with people that are like, first of all, how do I do this? Second of all, how do I do it in the time I've got?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I completely empathize, because when I was working in advertising, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I joined a coaching program, and I was combining the two. And I know that it's not something that you can do forever. You have to hit those points and get the business moving, so something can give. You want to see that happen, right? So I'm gonna let me share a few top tips that you can do straight away.
Awesome.
So okay, thinking which ones I want to share that's going to make the most impact. Right. First of all, elevated messaging. So oftentimes we're taught to talk to our clients' struggles. So, we work with coaches, or we do the reading, join programs, and we get this idea that we look at our ideal client, sometimes called our ICA, ideal client avatar, and we do a nice piece of writing. Who is she? What does she like to eat for dinner? And la, la, la. And, we get a good view of her. The problem is that oftentimes we jump over us in the equation. So we're like, we'll just get a good view of who this woman might be, or man, or a person that needs help. And we've forgotten us. So my first pointer is, and this is a big part of the process I teach, but it doesn't mean you can't dial it in quickly. So my first question is, have you missed yourself out of the equation? In your character, you've forgotten who you are. In the other parts of epics, have you forgotten your own experience? Like I'd forgotten pranic healing, and I'd left the whole spiritual side out of my business. And I was suffering for that, because I enjoy working with entrepreneurs who like talking about the universe and who enjoy the idea of an energetic business. And now I call that in, because that's a fundamental part of my messaging, right? Second part, are you suppressing so that was clarity. Second part, courage. Are you suppressing something that you're meant to do because you fear judgment, or you are thinking that you're an imposter? So as an ex-corporate, took me 4 months just to change my LinkedIn profile and say that I'm now a business coach. Took me another, I think maybe 5 or 6 months before I started talking about my spiritual passion and the law of attraction on my podcast, which now I talk about it all the time on my podcast. So I talk about it in my messaging. And funnily enough, having got the clarity and the courage, my messaging started to call in more clients, and more of the clients that I really wanted to work with.
Okay.
Next one, third one. Elevated messaging means talk to their desires. Don't just talk to their struggles. And one mistake I made early on, particularly when I was working with those coaches who weren't able to take action, was I was
Mhm.
calling to their struggles. I was using language like, is there more work than week? Are you missing all your deadlines? Is it
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah? And I just kind of went on like that. So the people that came into my world were those people that were like, yes, oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, help me. And, there's a do it for me energy,
Right.
right? When
Mhm.
I switched it to realizing that my clients were already whole, they were already perfect, and their vision already exists
Mhm.
in the vortex, and our job is just to bring them into alignment with what they desire.
Mhm.
I started talking to their ability to create it. And I started talking to what they really wanted to achieve on a much bigger balance than just calling to their struggles.
Got
And
it.
therefore, those people that started to come to me were excited. They were the people that were already ready to make those changes. And
Nice.
I found that it was that messaging, when we make that switch, and I've done it time and again for clients,
Mhm.
it just changes how people perceive you as a coach when they've got two coaches side by side who teach similar things. And let's be
Mhm.
honest, you're a health coach, you're a life coach, you're a business coach. There are certain things that in the industry there are similarities, which is why there's this need for differentiation. First of all,
Mhm.
you can differentiate yourself with that clarity and courage piece by
Right.
dialing in pieces of you that others don't have. But in addition, you can also differentiate yourself by talking to their desires when other coaches are talking to their struggles. And which
Nice.
coach would you rather work with? The one that
Right.
already sees your success and the
Right.
one that really sympathizes with the struggles?
Right, right. That's a really great point. That's a really great point. I This has been so eye-opening for me, and I know it has for our audience as well. And I know you've got something super cool that you want to offer our group. Do you want to tell everybody what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just talked about it earlier. It's completely transparent. I always offer messaging assessments. I
Love it.
call them magnetic messaging assessments. And I personally look over everybody's messaging that wants to understand how they can make improvements. So I will share my application form, which
Yes.
is called the magnetic messaging assessment. And
Mhm.
I would encourage anyone that wants to understand what they personally can do
Mhm.
to just fill that in, and I will let you know whether, if you're a great fit for a call, then you'll jump on and we will talk about it. And whether you're not a good fit for a call, that isn't the point. The point is you're going to get sound advice that's
Yeah.
really going to help you move forward. So
Love
please
it.
just come and chat.
Love it. And I know that my assistant Jill is going to pop that link into the comments on Facebook and YouTubers. It'll be in the show notes so you can connect with Joe as well. Joe, I just want to thank you so much again. I am so glad we connected. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but you and I have developed this connection and this relationship where I love to follow what you're doing. I think you're so inspiring, and I'm just grateful. I'm just really, really grateful that you took the time to come into my group and help us with our branding and our messaging. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, my absolute pleasure. This has been an absolute blast. And I'm part of your community too. And I love watching the conversations and the work. So thank you for the opportunity to share my message with everyone in the gang. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. I love it. So, okay, my friends, if you missed last week's live training regarding creating social media content with ease, and you can still watch it, the video is in the group. All the videos are always in the group. It's in the guide section. And if you're wanting to grab that free training that walks you through how to create 90 days of social media content in only 30 minutes, go to tracybeavers.com/social and grab that. I know Jill will pop that link into the comments as well. So get Joe's assessment, and then after you figured out your messaging and your branding and you've worked with her a little bit, then you're going to be ready to create that social media content with ease. And you hear me say this all the time, business growth does not have to be a struggle. Let's make it easy. Joe just talked about how you can align yourself and your soul to make it fun and make it feel good and energizing so you're buzzing when you visit with your clients. That sounds amazing. So let's make it easy to build our businesses by making it easy for everyone to see who we are, what we do, authentic branding messaging, how they can buy from us and hire us. And in order to get that visibility you want, and the new clients you want, you not only need to get your messaging on point, like Joe said, and it's always evolving, but you need to get visible. So I want to invite you to our Facebook group. If you're not already a member, if you're on YouTube or you're on my business page, come into the Facebook group. You can promote yourself, your offers. You can connect with awesome, experienced entrepreneurs just like Joe. You can showcase your expertise. You can get support from everybody in the group. People are going to get to know you. They're going to know how wonderful you are, how knowledgeable you are. They're going to want to connect with you and hire you. Using Facebook groups is an excellent strategy for visibility for your business. And as always, I hope this week's content has helped you. I want to know what you think, what you'd like to learn more about, what you want to hear more of. It is my joy and my goal to bring you value and be of service. And I know you're loving the content, so make sure you mark your calendar. Every Thursday, I'm here live at 11:30 Central. So I will see you guys next week. And you know, I always say this, don't go it alone. Being an entrepreneur is really freaking hard. Some days everybody wants to buy what you're selling, and other days nobody can remember your name. And if you think you're alone in feeling that way, my friend, you are not. And Joe can tell you, you are not. We have worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, and they all feel like that. And it doesn't matter how much experience and growth and millions of dollars we make, we're still going to have days where we feel like that. And when you're ready for strategies to get you more visible and help you break through the online space so you can grow your audience, your email list, and get that consistent monthly income, reach out and set a free information call, because I would love to chat with you about getting you to your goals. Have a great balance of the week and weekend. And remember, when one of us rises, we all rise. So we have to keep cheering each other on. I'm going to go in and check the chat. I know Jill has popped all the links into the comments. Judy Brandow is here. She says, thank you. She said it's great advice. She's here live with us. Thank you, Judy, so much for being on live. I know a lot of people are going to catch the replay. And as I mentioned before, anybody that's on the replay, if you have a question for Joe, pop it into the comments and tag her, because she's a member of our group and I know she will help you. All right, my friends, I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here.